We are here at Youmacon 2014 with Mr. DC Douglas. Welcome back to Detroit.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
So we'll start off with the first question.
Sounds good.
Okay. With all the traveling that you've been doing, I've been seeing you've been in Scotland and London, and so what's it like traveling to all these different cons and meeting people in different areas who are fans of yours and getting to interact with them?
It's actually very similar to, I always think of the, it's the Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson song, that line, people are the same wherever you go, and it really is the case. It's just the accents change and some of the fashions change and in some of the costumes, but otherwise it's still the same in a lot of respects. It's wonderful too. I mean, it's actually hard because when you're doing that was the MCM Expo line of cons that I did there, and so there's a certain way that the autograph thing works, and it's a lot of signing throughout the day, and so like in London, breezy because all the names I recognize. But when I was in Belfast, both those names were difficult, and then Scotland was even more difficult. And then in Manchester, the names were fine, but everybody had the strangest accents. Even 5 miles out, they had different accents than the people that were in City Central and all that. So that was the biggest thing, was just all the different accents. So, no, it was a blast. I loved it. I mean, it's hard too because it takes at least, I think, 6 days for you to fully adjust to the time zone. Mm-hmm. And I was flying in on Thursdays and leaving on Mondays or Tuesdays, so I never fully adjusted. But it was great coming back. I was adjusted really fast. This last time I went to London, of course, and I thought, I haven't been to London in 15 years. I really want to go and take in some theater and all that. So I went and I scheduled it for, was it 8 days, 7 days? So that I got time to go and explore this. Of course, each night, I went to go see Urinetown, which is kind of silly since it's a New York show, but I went to go see it there. And in the first half, I fell asleep because right then is when the jet lag hits. Mm-hmm. Then I would sort of wake up, but then I was fine for the second half. I was good. Now, mind you, I've been walking around London all day. So the next night I go, I'm going to go see a quintessential British show. So I'm going to go see Great Britain, a comedy they have there about politics and the Daily Mirror and all that. And I go in there, first half, dead asleep within literally 30 seconds of it starting. And it's a loud, fast-paced show. I'm at dead asleep, and then all of a sudden what wakes me up is this sound, which is, and it was me talking in my sleep. I woke myself up, and then I was so embarrassed. And so at the intermission, I had to leave. There's no way I could finish watching the show, so it was like a theater ticket wasted. But finally, last day there, totally adjusted to the time zone. Had a great time meeting the fans, talking, was energetic and all of that. And then, of course, I come home, and now I've had the worst time trying to adjust getting back home. So this is actually a nice medium being here in Detroit. So because I literally got back on Monday, and then Thursday was here. So this is actually...
Yeah, I've been following your Twitter.
Yeah, it's just great. I'm getting up at 7 and 8 a.m. and I'm ready to go. And that is not me.
And you're it's still dark
my
outside.
Life in LA, my life in LA is usually I'm sleeping until 10 if I can. If I don't have a session in the morning, I'm sleeping to 10 or 11.
So that can now, which has been your favorite con so far that you've traveled to?
Oh, that's not fair. They're all different for different reasons. So, Belfast was neat because I'd always wanted to go to Ireland, and so I'd never been. So that was kind of a favorite in that regard. And also the cities got such a sad but interesting history. And same with Scotland. It was neat to go to. And it was right before they were doing their vote on independence. I can't say. I'm going to have to say London only because it was so huge. Okay. London was just insanely huge. But those people that run that, Brian Cooney and the folks there, they're just amazing people. And they run a really well-organized convention circuit. So, yeah. But, yeah, so of the foreign ones, and those are the only foreign ones that I've done so far. Waiting on you, Brazil.
Okay, so put it out there. What other countries would you like to go to?
Well, hello. This is rated PG, isn't it? So I have to be careful. All right. So
it will be on
YouTube. Starts with a W. Anyway, go look it up. But Brazil definitely, only because that was the first time I was introduced to international fans, was on my Twitters. When I started to gain popularity because of Resident Evil, all these Brazilian people started contacting me, and I'm like, what the hell is with Brazil and Resident Evil? But it's huge there. So I would love to go to Brazil just because they're all so sweet. Sorry about that. They're all just so sweet and interesting. But of course, I'd love to go to Paris or anywhere in France. And I think they've got one in... think Switzerland is another place that I'd love to go. I mean, I'd go anywhere. South America, Australia. Although Australia, that's a long flight, so I'd have to really ramp up for that one.
And they have the top 10 deadliest everything there.
Oh, they do?
Even their mammals are, like the platypus is poisonous.
Well, when you do conventions, it's rare you get to leave the hotel.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm into Detroit, and the most I've seen is a giant metal fist out in the street, and that's it. So,
not bad.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into the jokes that I had about that either. PG is so frustrating.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, so brings me to my next question. What are the 3 things that you cannot live without while traveling?
Electronics, my iPhone and my iPad, movies on those, and being able to text and stay in touch with people. That's like one of the things, definite. Chapstick. And
hopefully you brought a coat this year to
I'm figuring out how to do the coat thing, because I try to stay in one bag. I don't like more than one bag when I travel, so it's hard fitting that in the thing there. Yeah, I think that's actually those are the main things.
Okay.
Everything else I can figure out and find wherever I go. So I'm a really low maintenance guy.
Okay, so that brings me onto a new subject. What advice would you give to anyone wanting to find a good school or workshop for voice acting? I know there's a lot of people who pop up and are like, oh, hey, I have a voice acting class, or
Right. Well,
how do you find legitimate?
You see, it's a hard question to answer because it depends on where the people are. Because if you're living in Podunk, Idaho, it's like I have no idea how you'd be able to find that there. There are some online classes now where you can Skype and then send in your voice files and all of that and get critiqued and whatnot. I haven't had personal experience with them, so I can't. I know of some names, like Edge Studio is one that pops into mind, but I know nothing about them and how they operate. But what I do is I would like type in the name of the place that you're thinking about doing it, if it's going to be an online kind of thing, and then put in the word reviews and then see what other people are saying about it and how it works. But any place that's going to promise you work, I would not believe, or any place that says we're going to teach you and then do your demo for you. If the price contains the demo kind of thing, I'd be wary of it. If it's an optional service you can have afterwards, then that's different. So those are things I would be wary of. But if you're in like the major hubs, if you're in any major city, then that's, I think, probably a lot easier to find. And then you just talk to whoever your agent is there and see who they recommend and what other people have to say about it. So yeah, it's different. Even in Los Angeles, it changes, where you go to study.
So I guess that would apply for finding an agent too, for acting and
agents. That's a very hard thing. It's people go, so what agent? Like one guy asked me, he goes, so what agent should I start with? And I'm like, the one that takes you. It took me 10 years to get an agent. I started doing voiceover in 91, but just for like little things here and there. And I think I ended up getting a non-union agent at the time because I was non-union, and they got me some stuff. But when I was union, I put my reel together, sent it out, and nobody bought. And then I did it again a few years later. Nobody cared. And then I gave up after a while. I just said, well, I'll just keep doing these little gigs that I get here and there. And then around 2001, I think I did a big mailing. 2000 or 2001, I did a big mailing, and all of a sudden, I think also because I think the difference also is, it used to be that I would try to be what I thought they wanted to be, not necessarily in the demo reel itself, but in how I presented myself and packaged myself. I was trying to be the professional actor. And then in that last round, I basically did a joke. I did my humor. I said, I've had my breast implants removed. You should really meet me. I'm a whole different person. And that's the letter I sent out, which is the most bizarre thing you can send. So I had heard from one agent, they thought it was the weirdest thing and they didn't want to have anything to do with me. Another one called and he goes, that was hysterical. I had to listen to your reel once I read the thing. And he signed me, and from there, my career really took off. So. So the question being, I would say that if you're doing on-camera stuff and you get a commercial agent, then you always ask them, do you have a voiceover department? That's a lot of how it works, is that you can get slide in that way. Otherwise, it's like if a friend can take your reel in, that kind of thing. But again, it's just what agency that will take you. So, but if you're in Podunk town, an LA agent or a New York agent's not going to take you. They want people to be in town to go to studios there and things like that. If you're big enough or in demand enough, then yes, they'll work out doing film patches, and you could have agents in various cities. So.
Okay, cool. So, you ready for the fan questions?
Are you ready?
I am.
Then let's do it.
Okay, so first one was, if you had to pick a side, which one would you choose, Umbrella or the BSAA?
This is assuming that I even know the storyline of Resident Evil. I don't know how much to tell people. I don't play the game.
You
I
can't
gotta
see
tell
my face right now, but I'm
sorry,
like,
but I'm going to take the umbrella side only because the logo is better. It's an awesome logo, and also the BSAA. I mean, they just. But umbrella is like umbrella. So yeah, I would take umbrella any day.
Okay, and along those lines, here's another fan question. Besides Wesker, who else is your favorite character from Resident Evil?
No, I mean again, because like I say, I don't do the gameplay, so I don't develop deep relationships like you guys do. But
you've seen all the characters.
No, I do. Yeah, I've seen them all cosplay. I mean, if I were to think about cosplay, I mean, Ada Wong's pretty hot. But also, I mean, the Chris Redfield, yes, Chris Redfield's cosplay is pretty cool. So, yeah, I would guess I'll go with those two.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm totally letting her down.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay, this was another fan question. If you had to survive an hour of mind games with the following characters, who would you pick? Albert Wesker, the Joker, or Loki?
Oh, Jesus. Because you're risking death with any one of them.
That's why I said if you were to survive.
You know what?
What poison would you pick?
Loki's just too moody, so I wouldn't want to do it with him. The Joker is just a mind fucker, so there's no way the mind games would be too much to deal with. At least with Albert Wesker, you realize as long as you can figure out whatever his megalomaniac plan is, and you sign on to it, then you at least have a chance of survival until he doesn't need you anymore. So at least there I know how to make myself useful. So the other two know that it's too crazy.
Okay, and then final fan question. If you could voice act for any other character in Mass Effect or Resident Evil, who would you pick for each game?
Oh, if I could voice act any... Well, I mean, I'd like to not die, so I think I'd pick Chris Redfield in Resident Evil, and in...
Or Leon S. Kennedy, because he's always...
I had hair like him in the early '90s. I did if you go look on YouTube, I think it's General Hospital or something, or Days of Our Life, General Hospital, I think. And I have the swoopy hair, and of course I'm really dorky in that. But I look like Leon. Flock of seagulls. In Mass Effect, there's so many good characters in that. There really are so many. But it's I play bad guys all the time, so it'd be nice to be the hero, just to have that full arc and whatnot, and also just to be kind of just badass, but for good. So Shepard would be good, but the female Shepard.
Okay. Okay, and then my final question is, what cons are you going to in the future? Where can we find DC
As of
Douglas?
right now, it's weird because I go through like waves, and it tends to die down by the end of the year, and I don't know what's going to happen for 2015. And as of right now, I mean, I did 15 cons this year, 15 or 16, and last year I did 14. It's been crazy, and I'm also surprised because both my characters are dead. These games are getting older every year, and I'm like, I can't believe people still want to meet me, or meet me. So that's really, I'm so grateful for that. But as of right now, I think I've got a little one in Peoria. I forget even the name of it. It's part of a circuit, this Midwest circuit that they do. There's one in Peoria. I'm doing Anime Minneapolis, I think, and Anime Midwest for next year. Those are all that I have on the docket right now. So just waiting for Brazil to call.
And on that note, if your fans want to tell the cons to book you, how do they do it? Do
it nicely, and don't do it repeatedly. But get your friends and everybody if you really do. Sometimes it's really helpful to get a group of people that go to that con and get everybody just to sign on to one thing and say we would love to have him as a guest, kind of thing, and give them enough notice because they tend to book 6 months to a year in advance. But do it nicely. Don't irritate them. So, but yeah, a lot of times that does work and can get me. An invitation, a booking for it. So a lot of times also they may have contacted me, but it's because of finances or whatnot they can't necessarily afford it and all. And we try to make it. My agents and I, we try to make it work for the con depending on the time frame and all that. So because I do love going and visiting people, but at the same time I like to adjust to a certain time zone for a certain amount of time. So yeah. And
then anything you want to throw out there for the fans?
No, screw them. This is about you and me, right here, right now. Get me a T-virus shot. No, I think they know this, but I'm forever grateful for it. I mean, it's just I get to be a rock star when I come to these things. Then I go back to LA and nobody cares. It's like, you know, when I get my coffee and they call it at like Starbucks, they don't care that it's me. If I can even put Wesker on it, they don't care that it's Wesker picking up the coffee. So this is neat when I get to come to these conventions. It's a true treat in a career that I didn't think I'd get to have this kind of experience. So I'm very grateful to the fans for all of that. And also, just guys, if you want to keep up with stuff, dcdouglas.com, or follow me on Twitter, dc_Douglas, or also on Facebook. You can follow my Facebook page. Oh, and if you're over 18, there's my Tumblr as well.
You're not going to talk about the Tumblr?
Well, I try not to promote it too much. I don't like to get in trouble. It's definitely a not safe for work Tumblr, but it's my art and
I've been on your Tumblr.
Nudity exploration thing. It's a nice Tumblr, though, isn't it?
It is.
It's not gross.
It is.
Yeah.
No. Every once in a while, something just pops up, and you're like, "Wow, okay."
And if it's on your dash and it's out of context, it could feel like all of a sudden it's like, how did a porno thing get on here? You know. But then when you look at my page and you see where it comes in the order, there's like a whole fluid thing to it. It's like, I love Tumblr. All right.
Okay. Well, that's all of my questions.
Okay.
So thank you.
Well, it was lovely meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. And